You pay off debt or invest? What comes first? What do you prioritize? Let's talk about one of the most common personal finance dilemmas and break it down. I personally paid off over $35,000 and saved my first $100K at 26, and I will share with you my strategy, what worked for me, and you can decide what works for you. Why, hello, my yellow groupers. I'm Carly, a finance grad and the creator of Best Money Class Ever, where I teach how to pay off debt in 36 months or less, invest to retire a millionaire, and stress less about money. Grab a seat. I'm about to spill the financial tea. Are you ready for it? On one hand, you have experts that say paying off debt is the end all be all, and that is your number one priority. You want to pay everything off with your debt, excluding a mortgage, and do whatever it takes to make that happen. Any dime that you have above $1,000 is going to go towards that debt. You're not going to invest at all until you are 100% debt free. On the other hand, you have experts who say with the stock market, you're going to earn a higher interest rate. So put your money to work, get compounding now, and start investing. Don't worry about your debt. Just pay the minimums. Take as long as possible, especially with those low interest like car loans, student loans. It's almost like free money. You're borrowing and it's just hardly above inflation. And before you know it, a year, 2, maybe even 3 years pass and you are no further along with paying off debt or even investing. This is not a math problem. This is procrastination, analysis paralysis, and lack of financial education. Today, I'm going to lay out very clearly the 4 options you have with the dilemma of paying off debt or investing, and 2 finance concepts to help you decide what's best for you. You want and deserve financial freedom. You want your money to work for you, not the other way around. I'm going to dive into what to prioritize with the debt payoff versus investing. At the end, I'll share an exact example of how a 22-year-old with average credit card debt and a $48K income can become debt-free in 17 months and retire with $5 million. First option is to do absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, this is the default, and this is what most people find themselves doing. Absolutely nothing. Here are some crazy stats to show you. This is completely morbid. A report by ABC showed 73% of Americans are dying with around $62,000 in debt. People are living their entire lives drowning in debt. Now, mind you, some of this is mortgage debt. Without mortgage debt, the average balance was $12,875. A report shows that 37% of Americans don't own stocks at all. That's about 40 million Americans who don't ever get around to starting to invest. The next 3 strategies are definitely going to be better than the do nothing strategies. Second strategy is to pay off all of your debt, where you completely stop investing until you're 100% debt free, excluding the mortgage. The third option is to invest without focusing on your debt payoff. You simply just pay the minimums, stretch things out as long as possible without a sense of urgency. And then the fourth option is to do both, to simultaneously really focus on investing and also paying extra to your debt. The most important thing when it comes to debt and investing is to start. Why is starting to invest and pay off debt so important? Let's dive into it. The first concept to understand is compound interest. Compound interest is when you have interest earned from the principal and interest from the previous periods, aka interest on interest. It is quite fascinating. Some would say it's almost like a magical unicorn. Albert Einstein, kind of a smart dude, said out of everything in the entire universe, the most powerful force is compound interest. When you have money that makes more money, it is quite fascinating. With debt payoff and investing, you could have compounding interest working for you or against you. You can either spend interest on your debt or earn interest on your investments. Which will it be? When you hear about interest, most people assume and kind of understand what is simple interest. So we're going to take a look at simple interest versus compound interest so you can really see firsthand the power. Quick examples of simple interest versus compound. Let's look at $15,000 that earns 10% over 30 years. With simple interest, what this is going to look like is each year you're going to earn that set 10% off of the original $15,000. 10% of $15,000 is $1,500. So for example, at the end of year 1, you're going to have that $15,000 plus $1,500. The ending balance is $1,650. The second year, you're going to earn 10% off of the $15,000 again, and that's going to add to the ending balance, so on and so forth. By end of year 30, you will have earned $45,000 in interest, and the ending balance is going to be $60,000. You have $15,000 turning into $60,000. But let's take a look at compound interest and see. Compound interest is exponential growth. For example, the year 1, you're going to earn 10% off of $15,000 or $1,500. The ending balance is then going to be $16,500. Second year, you're going to earn 10% off of the $16,500. That year, you will actually earn $16,50 in interest. That seems like a minor difference, but over the years, it really compounds. For example, in year 26, you will have earned $16,252 in interest, which is more than initial principal alone. The money is literally making you money. By the end of year 30, that $15,000, 10% interest is compounded to over $261,000. Here, the impact over the 30 years, the $60,000 versus $261,000. That's over $200,000 of a difference. Let's talk about compound interest and credit card debt. Credit card debt is on a rise. Overall, there's 1.2 trillion with a T in outstanding credit card debt. Reports show that on average, about 45% of credit card users carry a balance, with the average balance $7,886. The average interest rate is about 21%. Simple interest would be $7,886 times 0.21, $1,656 in interest. However, with credit card debt, it isn't simple interest, it is compounding and has this rippling effect. Let's take a look at compound interest with credit card debt. With the average balance of $7,886 and 21% interest, the monthly minimum payment would be $200. Assuming you don't add another dime to that debt and only pay the minimum, you can see here it would take you over 5.5 years to pay the debt off, or 68 months. Over that time period, you will have then paid a grand total of $5,617.11, shockingly close to the amount that you initially borrowed. By the way, if you want to see exactly how much your debt is costing you too, plus your retirement calculations of when you can become work optional, plus monthly budgets that you can automate, then you can grab your very own financial day planner that I created and use. It is in the link in the description below. Grab your copy today. In the long run, the stock market historically earns about 10% or 7% after inflation. Obviously, with the stock market, returns are not guaranteed. There are years of great losses and great gains, but historically, in the long run, this is the best place to earn and see your money work and grow for you. If, for example, you have a credit card debt that is a high interest debt, then it's pretty common sense, since the stock market's not guaranteed, have your money work better for you when you pay off that high interest debt. The second concept that shows the power of starting is called time value of money. We've all heard the phrase time is money, but this is an actual finance principle. What this means is $8 saved now is going to be worth more later because of interest earned over time. To explain the basic principle of time value of money, we're going to look at investing $200 a month every single month starting at age 22 versus waiting to invest the same exact amount at age 27 and what the impact is. This is the retirement calculator that I created and absolutely love. The current year we'll say is 2026. Current age is 22, and then the year they stop investing is 65, and that's when they retire. In this example, we are going to say there is an annual gross income of $48,000. Investing $200 is equivalent to doing 5% of their gross income. You can see here the year-by-year projection with them starting at absolutely zero, each year investing that same exact amount. This assumes they never get a pay raise and just invest that flat set $200 a month until age 65. At age 65, this does assume a 10% return. They will have 1.4 million. Let's say they wait just 5 years and start investing at age 27. They invest the exact same amount, 5% or $200 a month. At age 65, their retirement account will be valued at $873,704, which is still not too shabby. Let's look at these numbers a little closer. So you are investing $200 from age 22 to 65. That means that you are contributing $103,200. That grows to over 1.4 million. And if you wait 5 years, you're investing $200 a month from age 27 to 65, or $91,200 you put in with your money. That grows and compounds to over $873,000. Let's examine these numbers a little bit closer. You are putting in scenario 1, when you start 5 years early, $103,200. The difference is then just $12,000 more. That $12,000 more that you put in results in an exponential difference over your lifetime, just because you had started. How much is that difference? That $12,000 that you slowly started chipping away 5 years earlier then yields you a difference of 1.4 million minus $873,000, $548,000. $12,000 has over $500,000 worth of growth on the line simply because you started. Here is where the dilemma sets in. So in this scenario where you're paying $200 a month for credit card debt with 21% interest, you can say, oh my gosh, I'm wasting over $5,700 on interest for this debt. I need to wipe that out. On the other hand, if you see, whoa, $200, just investing $200 as soon as possible can result in a difference of over $500,000. Man, I need to invest like yesterday. Let's get this investing party started. Am I right? This leads me to my conclusion and what I personally did, which was do both. People who say, well, you can't do two things well at the same time. I don't believe that. And that wasn't my case. I knocked out my debt within 36 months. That was $35,000 when I graduated. I simultaneously was investing and putting money away, which was over $100K by 26. You can do both. You can do it well. I want to kind of give a couple more examples. For example, if you want to get healthy, there is the dilemma, is diet or exercise more important? It's like, well, hello, you're probably going to want to do diet and exercise. It's not either or. Or for example, if you're like, man, I really want to find the love of my life, should I do dating apps or focus on meeting people in real life? Hello, hit up the apps, and then if there's a cute guy at the coffee shop, say, hey, what's up, right? Do both to get the results that you want in your financial life. Pay off debt with an intensity and start investing. You need a comprehensive fitness plan with diet and exercise. You also need a comprehensive financial plan. Some people with the do both mentality have this simple formula. They look at it mathematically and they say anything that is above 10% with interest, or even maybe around the 6 to 7%, you need to knock that out because you're losing money. All of your credit cards, pay that off with a fast intensity. Anything below that is closer to like inflation. Take your time. So for things like car loans, student loans, personal loans, room furniture loans, medical debt or whatever, take your sweet time. There's no rush. I say that I want you to have a rush even with those lower interest debt. And here is why. Something called opportunity cost. Even in those small instances, let's say the debt that we gave the example of $7,886 wasn't a credit card. Let's say it was a student loan with 4% interest, arguably about the same as inflation. That $200 that you're like, I'm going to take 15, 20 years to pay off, or however long I could possibly stretch this out, it's like free money. Well, here's the thing, that $200 is locked up, and that is money that you could be using to invest to then earn you more. So we want to knock that out and really see our money working for us. We don't want like, oh, it's about inflation. We want our money to grow and work for you hard, which leads me to the finance plan, which is the name of this very show. I freaking love this process and this system, and this kind of explains my logic behind the finance plan. If you're new around here, the finance plan is literally your step 1, 2, 3, and 4 with money. It shows the exact order of operations to tackle things, and I freaking love the system. Here is a recap of what the finance plan is. Step 1 is to save 10%. If you are in debt, you'll want to modify and do 5% of that towards retirement, and then 5% of that towards a starter emergency fund. The reason why I say 5% is because, like in the example with the minor $200, that has a rippling effect in the long run. And what I didn't also mention is oftentimes you have things like a company match. You put money in and they will literally match that. That is free money that can then exponentially grow and compound and work for you too. 5% though towards a starter emergency fund. We do want to have a sense of urgency to paying off that debt. And the biggest trap that I see people is they're just living paycheck to paycheck, and then a car breaks. You don't want to swipe a credit card to put $1,500 and add to your debt load. So we want to automate in the back burner to have that emergency fund building. Step number 2 is then to pay everything off. And I give a deadline with my best money class ever students to pay everything off within 36 months or less. Amazing things happen when you have a plan with a hard deadline. And the method that I teach in detail with best money class ever is the Spartan method. This is something that I coined. So if you haven't heard of it, it's because I made this up. The Spartans were known for their discipline, endurance, and structure. The 300 Spartans fought against a much larger Persian army. You want to line up all of your debt and pay all of the minimums plus 300 or more extra towards that highest interest interest debt. When the highest interest debt is paid off, take that old minimum plus that extra smart amount, throw that to the next highest interest debt, so on and so forth. And then once you are debt free, you let me know. I'll be like, whoop, you did it. Step number 3, you will build an emergency fund. You will start investing all 10%. You will want to have 3 to 12 months of expenses in the bank for a rainy day. Process that I use is you will want to turn a liability into an asset. A liability is what you owe, obligation, a burden, holding you down. It's a weight. An asset is what you own, like your investments and your savings. At this point with a finance plan, your obligations are long gone. You can take what you were paying towards debt and throw that in the bank. Before you know it, you could have an emergency fund. And then step number 4 is to save up for life purchases, outright buying your next car with cash, a home down payment, or vamping up and investing more than the 10% for early retirement. Let's take a look at what this looks like. Here's an example of the finance plan with a 22-year-old making $48K an average credit card, how they can pay everything off in 17 months and retire with $5 million. Here we have the credit card balance of $7,886 with the interest rate of 21 and the payment of $200. So then we will put in to pay an extra $300 towards this debt. $300 is something that is small enough that I think almost anyone can do by cutting a few things or bringing in an extra income, but it's big enough to really make traction in your financial life. By paying an extra $300, this reduces the payoff months from 68 to 19, less than a year and a half. This then turns the interest that you would pay from $5,700 to $1,423, which is a savings of thousands of dollars. For illustrative purposes, let's just say the interest rate is 4%. By paying $300 extra, you would then have that paid off within 17 months. Now, this is where things get fun. Here we have the finance plan. This is assuming a modest gross income of $4,000. If you're debt-free already, you would invest 10% or $400 a month. In this example, paying off debt, you would do 5% or $200 towards retirement, and then 5% or $200 towards a starter emergency fund. Step number 2, again, is to get out of debt. So you would pay all of your minimums. In this example, we'll just say it's the $200 for the one debt, plus the extra $300 or $500 every month to debt. Within 17 months, you'd have everything completely debt-free. During that time, you would have invested $3,400. You would have also saved $3,400 for an emergency fund. We don't know exactly how much that investment would yield, but let's say you have your emergency fund in a high yield savings account earning 3.5%. So you would then have about $3,481. That is your mini emergency fund. Then you will focus on having savings for a rainy day. We'll say you want to have a target of 6 months in the bank. The gross income is $4,000, but then you have taxes taken out, what you would consider your baseline or bare bone budget if you lost your job. In this example, we'll say what you'd need to spend for an emergency each month would be $2,600. Therefore, a total 6-month emergency fund would be $15,600. If you're starting off with 0, you would have saved $3,481 while paying off debt, and then have $12,119 left once you're debt free. Once you're debt free, you will turn a liability into an asset. The $500 you were paying towards debt is now yours. If you throw that into a high yield savings account within 24 months of being debt free, you'll have your complete $15,600 in emergency fund. Then step number 4 is to save up for life purchases like a home, car, or early retirement. In this case, what we are going to do is we are going to turn a liability into an asset, and the $500 we are going to then invest. This is what this looks like on the retirement calculator. Here we have the 22-year-old who is going to contribute till retirement until age 65 with, again, that standard $48,000 gross income. We are assuming 10% returns. Here is the year-by-year retirement plan with the finance plan in this exact order of operation. First, a year and a half, they are investing 5%, which is that $2,400 or $200 a month. Once they are debt-free, they start investing 10% of their income, which is $4,800. It takes them then 2 years to complete their emergency fund. So the $500 is their liability. Now that is their asset. They're completing that $15K emergency fund. Once that emergency fund is complete, they will continue to turn a liability into an asset. So the $500 is theirs. That opportunity cost, even again, if it was that low interest, 4%, this is money that they earn and they could actually take to invest. They're going to invest that $500 a month or $6,000 a year in addition to the 10%. An average Joe person who makes $48,000 a year can then retire with $5 million, which is why I love the finance plan. The finance plan is how regular people can gain financial independence step by step and still enjoy life while they're doing it. $5 million. That is insane. I freaking love the finance plan, and I think you will too. When it comes down to the dilemma of paying off debt versus investing, the most important thing is just to start because of time value of money and compound interest. You want your money working for you, not the other way around. Time is truly money. You can spend a lifetime spending interest on your debt or earning interest on your investments. Which will it be? Start now. Your future multimillionaire self will definitely thank you. Want to see exactly what it takes for you to pay off debt and retire a millionaire? You can grab the Financial Day Planner. It is linked in the description below. It also comes with a personal finance mini course to help you get this started. I am here to hype you up. Now it's time for our best money class ever, Money Win. This one is a good one, especially if you're like, oh my gosh, pay off debt, invest, don't know what to do. And is doing both really smart? Am I going to be too divided and get nowhere fast? Absolutely not. This one is a good one. Claire writes in and she actually paid off her credit card debt, $2,727, and invested her first $1,000 for retirement, all within 2 months. Amazing things happen when you start a plan. I was so excited for her, and this is what she said. She said, I like the homework layout and feedback. It is nice to have laid out steps to work towards and get excited about. I am so excited for her, and I'm excited for you too. One of the biggest things that I see with people and money is they lack accountability. And if that's kind of hard for you, join me in Best Money Class Ever. Class is going to be coming up soon, and I'll be your money coach for a month. Just like Claire said, she kind of liked having that forced deadline to actually start the finance plan and get things going. Every week we meet, there is a live lesson with a challenge. So you will be challenged to act and implement the finance plan. If she can turn things around with debt investing, why not you? You can do it too. I really believe it. I am really curious, and I would love to hear from you. Spill your financial tea. What is your strategy? Are you focusing on debt payoff versus investing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Thank you, my yellow groupers, for listening. Every single show has a dope name that they call their listeners. I am calling you my yellow groupers. We have slow starts. We get off track. We get behind. We get knocked down. We've been through some things. Nothing comes easy. The cards are stacked against us. The hands we are dealt are not ideal, but we don't ever give up. That is where our grit is born. Our trials, our adversities, that is what makes us stronger. Did you like this episode? If so, like it and subscribe. Be sure to share it with your friends who also geek out over personal finance. Leave me a 5-star review wherever you're listening. It really helps others who are on a mission to pay off debt and invest find this show. If you've been meaning to get your finances in order, now's the time, and this is the best place to start. Here, you'll overcome analysis paralysis with the finance plan. This is the roadmap that you've been looking for to pay off debt and invest, even if you have no idea where to start and you're living paycheck to paycheck. Are you tired of figuring this money stuff out on your own? You don't need to spend a lifetime stressed about money. You can turn things around in a month. I will show you exactly how. Best Money Class Ever is my live and virtual 4-week personal finance class. Think of me as your personal finance consultant to help you get the results you want with money. Enrollment is currently closed. You want in? Get on the waitlist. Head on over to bestmoneyclassever.com or the link below. You'll instantly get a 20-page guide with the finance plan so you can start a plan to pay off debt and invest now. As always, remember you only live once. Be smart with your money now. I'll catch you later. Bye.